Viewers. Hi, Carol. Anne's here. Yep, our viewers are coming in to visit. It's so nice to see everybody on this Tuesday afternoon. Had a little bit of snow overnight, nothing dramatic. In some ways, it would be nice to have even more snow because we really need the moisture for the gardens. Starting to think about gardening season. Yes, we are. Um, it's a wonderful time of year when we think about gardening and we look forward to getting out into the garden because by August I'm really tired of it and I just wish it would snow so I don't have to do any more work. So, I hope everybody had a great weekend. We had a pretty good weekend and had a pretty good Valentine's Day as well. So that's kind of nice. Hopefully Leah's going to be popping in with a few announcements for you, but we'll let her interrupt us. She was heading off to do something else. So if she shows up, that's great. And if she doesn't, well, then we'll just carry on without her. Couple things I wanted to mention before we get started today is just coming up this week. If you are registered in our Aunt Annie's quilt, this will be our last class. We kind of threw in this final one to help some of you decide how you want to put all those blocks together. So we're going to be talking about different settings, different how to figure out how much fabric you're going to need for different settings and that sort of thing. So that will be Thursday the 17th at our regular time of 1 o'clock, and hopefully I'll see everybody there. And then coming up on Friday the 25th, we will be starting our Learn to Hand Embroider class. And I've talked to a lot of wonderful people who are quite looking forward to this one. Even if you have done hand embroidery in the past, it's kind of nice to refresh your skills, refresh your stitches, just figure out things again. So we're going to be starting that one on Friday. It's going to run for 12 Friday afternoons from this week, or actually the first class, the 25th, is from 2 to 4. So most of the classes will be like an hour and a half, 2 to 3:30, but we just kind of want to get introduced to things. So what are we going to do today? Well, I don't know about you, but I always get the best ideas in the shower. So when I got to work this morning, I had a lot of ideas that I could talk about on Facebook. So I bounced a few of them off of Dawn because she's got a real good handle on the store. And she suggested that we just carry on with our thread painting from last week because, yeah, kind of New Year's resolution to actually come closer to finishing some of these projects. So that's what we're going to do. I've done a little bit of work in between time, and I'm just really excited with how it's looking. So without further ado, and until our Miss Leah shows up, I'm going to switch camera feeds and just let you see what's been going on. So as you can see, I've got my sewing machine set up. I've got my little panel just that we started working on. And what I have done is I have worked on the flower. Kind of a harbinger of spring here. Yeah, good old dandelion. And I've got, besides the base layer that we put on there last time, I have added 3 different colors of yellow. I put a light yellow around the outside edge. I put a medium yellow in the center, and then a real deep golden yellow right in here. So I think it really gives it some dimension. So now it's time to work on the leaves and the stems, and we'll just see how much fun we have. One of the nicest things about this process is, 1, how fast it goes together, and 2, how forgiving it is, because if you don't like something, you can just stitch over it. So that is a great thing. Don't, if you chose the wrong thread color the first time, just give it another try. So I've thrown a little bit of a sort of a soft brown down one side of the stem. Yeah, that shows up not too bad. So now I think I'm going to work on the other side of the stem. I'm going to drop my presser foot. Now, most machines that will do free motion work, so you're dropping your feed dogs or setting it up however your machine wants it, will also free motion a zigzag stitch. They won't free motion some of most of the other decorative stitches. I wish they would, because that would be kind of fun. But most decorative stitches require the feed dogs, but a zigzag does not. And it's a really great stitch when you're working free motion thread painting like this, because it fills in beautifully. So I'm going to set my machine to a basic zigzag. Now you always want to make sure that you confirm that whatever width your zigzag is set to is going to fit in your presser foot here. So that's why I have the open toe foot as opposed to the little circular foot. And I am going to use, the stitch length doesn't really matter because it's free motion. But I'm going to put my stitch width to about 2 millimeters. We can manipulate it however we like. So now I'm ready to go, and you'll see how the machine, it's really hard to work this without a, so now you can see, I'll slow that speed down a little. The machine is actually making a zigzag, so all I have to do is travel in one direction. So instead of having to go back and forth and back and forth and up and down with that, by using the zigzag, I have kind of filled that one side in one movement. Now I'm going to go over that with other colors, because the fun thing with this process is layering your colors so that you get the depth in your image. Hopefully we can see that. Let's just, the other thing that's nice, if I move at an angle like that, my needle is going back and forth this way. So I get almost a curved shading stitch. I think for what I'm doing here on the leaf, I can afford to move that up a couple notches. So we're up to 2.5 millimeters. And you can go as fast or as slowly as you want. So now, if I want a nice crisp point on that, I can actually just rotate my work so that I can get the zigzag going that way. Just filling in the colors. quick and easy way to fill in large areas of color. It's mesmerizing to do. I hope it's as much fun to watch. So you can see I'm adding a few more details to what we had laid down last time as a base. Just feathering them out. So that's looking really nice and soft there. You can see the difference between this leaf and this leaf. This just, it's almost like an outline that we've done there. I'm not so keen, well, I'm looking in the, on the computer there. So now I'm going to move over here. We're going to do the same thing. Loanne says that she's surprised that we can do this on a sewing machine. This is absolutely an amazing process if you like to just to doodle, but you don't even have to worry about being a great artist or anything. It's just the layers of thread seem to give the work so much um, depth and interest, and it's super easy. It's just, you might as well be working with crayons on a coloring book, except you get to play with thread in a sewing machine. So okay, my head doesn't want to work this one upside down. It says, oh, it doesn't feel right. So you can see how I can just layer the threads. And I can turn it around. If it feels better to you to stitch something in one direction than another, just go for it. And Loanne, I'll show you another trick once we get this base layer of thread down that's going to take even more of the, I'm not sure I could do that out of it. The big leaf here. And I keep thinking of things I want to show you, so I have to stitch fast. That looks like a pretty good base layer of thread. Just boogie on down here. So what I wanted to also show you, same thing, we are doing free motion zigzag. Now, because I always like to do my own thing rather than work with somebody else's designs, I have not invested in an embroidery machine. So consequently, if I do have a machine that will do a font, so I can do my quilt labels with that. But what if I wanted to monogram something? So if I set this free motion zigzag stitch, I'm going to drop it right down to, we'll go with 2. That's reasonable. Again, your stitch length doesn't matter. And I'm going to bring up my thread this time. I'll see if it will do that. These brothers with the thread cutter are a little tricky because you got a short stubby piece of thread, but I'm going to bring it up this time. So now I've been moving the panel quite quickly to cover the area with thread. But what if I went slowly? Let's get that line. Get out of the way, thread. I want to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, close enough. There we go. So now the machine is still going to go back and forth like this, and I'm going to control where it goes. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to move quite rapidly. So you can monogram things with your free motion zigzag. You can write. If I have done it with a wider zigzag as well, and you get quite a nice curve to your letters, as long as you're not wanting to write poetry or something on your quilts, which would take a lot of effort. Then you should invest in an embroidery machine. It's a great way to add just a little bit of interest to what you're doing or autograph things. So let's say you like doing this. It's a really, really fun technique, but you're not so sure. It's been a long time since you did art in school and you're not sure how to shade. Well, we can always cheat. So what I'm going to do here, just take this solid green thread out. Come here, guy. There we are. And I am putting on, this is an isocord variegated thread, and this is a green and white variegated. And we're just going to see what that's going to look like. Remember, if we don't like it, we can just stitch over it. There are some lovely variegated threads out there. Isocord's got a pretty good range. Some of the other thread companies have a different variegation in their thread, and you can get variegated in both cotton and the polyester that I'm working with. So now we're ready to start here, and let's just see what sort of an effect our variegated thread gives us as I'm going to work on one side of the leaf. I'm going to also remember I have my machine set to default to needle down. When I take my foot off the foot pedal, the needle is down that way, so I can pivot nicely. But I want to change the width of my stitch. So I want to make sure always that I raise that needle before I do something like that. You don't want to flex your needle even a little bit. There we go. It'll take care of going down by itself. There we are. So I think a variegated thread like this green and white would be an ideal thread to use if you wanted to do trees, where you've got the flashes of light and dark. How are we doing? So you can already see the definition that that is giving to the little leaf that we've got there. So we've got lights and darks. It's really kind of a different effect. I wonder if I can get the camera in just a bit closer without making everybody super dizzy. Oh yeah, we can. Look at that. That's pretty good. There we go. So you can see how you get used to as you stitch. You get used to when the thread is going to switch to the darker shade, and you can kind of manipulate it, but sometimes using the variegateds, it's just the excitement of watching it change. And there are variegated threads with multicolors in them, or say a pink and white. You could use a pink and white and make a gorgeous little wild rose flower on something. Let's just see how far we can get with this. So I can tell by how the panel is behaving. Every once in a while it kind of pops up that in those areas the thread is starting to get really dense. So you can hear the difference as well. Around. We'll put a little definition on this leaf now. So that's coming along. I think I'll play with it for a little bit longer between sessions, and maybe we'll actually get it finished. If you are interested in giving this a try, um, just start slowly on your own machine. Don't run the risk of hitting the foot, breaking a needle, that sort of thing. But if your machine will do zigzag, try setting it to zigzag in free motion mode. If it doesn't yell at you, then you're pretty much good to go. But always start your stitching slowly. Watch that needle, watch where it goes. You should be able to, if you can't turn your speed down, have a very light presser foot, very light foot pedal pressure with your foot. Just make it go stitch by stitch. And then as you realize that, yeah, this is going to work okay, you can always pick up speed. So tons of fun, lots of applications for it, lots of things that you can do with it, whether you're using straight stitch or zigzag stitch. Go online, find some magazines, our recent issue of Quilting Arts magazine, or some of the back issues that have got thread painted articles. So have a look and just see what you can do. Most people do animals because the thread is a great way to mimic fur on animals, but you're not limited to that. I don't do animals that well. I don't draw animals very much. So but flowers and me, we understand each other. So I usually default to doing a flower. So lots of fun. I hope you give it a try. If you do, I would love to see your work. So you can either send us a photo or you can pop into the store with it and go, look what I made. Yay. And it's always nice to expand your skills. So that's about everything. Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to mention to you. Guys have worked really, really hard on getting the new website up and running. I know with some of our classes, like the Aunt Annie's class, things got kind of missed because of the switchover, and so you might have missed your emails. So double check your emails. If you have any questions, give us a phone call. And don't forget, if you do not already get our newsletter, it comes out once a week, and you want to keep on top of things that are going on here at the store, or you want to keep on top of some of the sales coming up, some of the classes coming up, just go onto our website and there will be a link there where you can subscribe to our newsletter. We don't send it out in a blanket. Even if you have given us your email address, you have to specifically request it, but it's well worth it. And so check out the new website, sign up for the newsletter, and until I see you next time, which will likely be later in the week, have a great one and enjoy our gradually coming spring. Build yourself a dandelion. Take care, everyone. We'll talk to you next time. And thanks for joining us. I see Kathy says thank you. Loanne's there. It's wonderful.